Hello there, Brian Schwatka, Realtor and creator of this Or Go Homeowner class. And today what I want to share with you is how you decide or what you should be thinking about when you're trying to figure out if you should buy your next home first or sell your current home first. So buying or selling first, so that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, first I want to start out with talking to those of you or just thinking as a seller. The real estate transaction, if you need to sell first, there are some things that you really need. There's a big pieces of the puzzle. First piece is the real estate transaction itself. There are some time frames and there's some things that need to happen in that real estate transaction before you can do anything. Okay? Your hands are kind of tied until certain things happen. The other thing we're going to talk about is what you're going to walk away with, because just because you sell for $1 million doesn't mean you're walking with $1 million. Now, your time and your money are going to really play a part in your decision whether you can sell first or buy first. So let's start with the real estate transaction itself. Now, we talk about this exact slide, this exact real estate transaction in the class called Real Estate 101. So I'm not going to go too far into this, but I will just stay at a real high level and tell you that the number one thing you're looking at here in the real estate transaction is called the contingency removal. It's that green box there. And you can't really do anything until the buyers of your home tell you in writing, I will not back out. And even if they do, they can still back out. That's why selling first is so difficult. Okay? It's a very stressful thing, and we're going to talk about going from the easiest way to do this to the most stressful way to do this. But here it is at a high level. On the left, you've got your home ready to go on the market. This is if you need to sell first. I've done my inspections. I've done my disclosures. I've ordered my home inspection and pest inspection. I've downsized. I've made repairs. I've done everything I needed to do. I marketed it. I put it on the market. And now we're on the market on the MLS, the multiple listing service. We get a nice contract from a buyer. It's as is, which only means as is disclosed, as is everything I've told you. They have a period of time that they can do their due diligence. Everything's open to negotiation. They can back out at any time for any reason whatsoever. No harm, no foul. They get their 3% deposit back. You have to put your home back on the market. That's why I'm saying you couldn't do anything, because everything that you may have done up until this point and then they back out, you have to do all over again. So you can't do anything till you get the contingency removal. Then we close escrow. All of those great things happen, okay? But you can't really do anything until you close escrow and get the money into your account. So that's the one thing I want to you to think about is the timing of all of this. Now the next thing is the money part of it, okay? And like I said, you sell for $1 million doesn't mean you're getting $1 million. So you're going to have to find out what your basis was, which is what the home was actually worth when you bought it. You get to include, or exclude I should say, from paying taxes on any upgrades that you've done, all the selling costs that you've had. Then you get an exemption. The other owner gets an exemption, maybe his or her exemption. And then you're left with what your actual gain is, and then you're going to have to pay taxes on that gain. So then you understand what you're going to walk away with. Then you can decide how much I can afford to buy for. Okay, now all of that I just said was for if you had to sell first and things you should be thinking about. So now I'm going to talk about what the easiest way to do it is, the next hardest thing, and so on. So the easiest way to do it, of course, is to buy your next home first. I have enough cash or investments or whatever it is. Maybe I'm using my home equity line of credit, or I'm using my reverse mortgage money, and I say, I like that house. I'm going to buy that house for cash. Great. You buy it, or you could finance it, whatever it is. You secure that home, and what's great is that then you close escrow on that house, and then you go and you move your stuff, you downsize, you move at your convenience, you understand all the stuff that needs to go there, you disperse whatever's left in your existing home by way of donating or recycling or auction or giving it to the kids or whatever it is, okay? And then you sell the home that you were living in. All very calm, easy way. It's the best way to go. The next best way would be to sell and then move to a seniors community. Okay? There, what we'll do is we'll spend some time getting your existing home on the market, a couple weeks to prep the house, a couple weeks of marketing, there's a 30-day close of escrow, and then what you do is you tell the people who are buying your home, hey, I need 30 to 60 days to move out. No problem. So you close escrow, you get your nice pot of money, you give that pot of money over to the seniors community. During the rent back, you're downsizing, you're moving your stuff over to the seniors community because you've given them the money, and then you're fine. Then you move out in that 30 to 60 day time window. That's the second best way to do it. Okay? Here's the third best way to do it. It's a little bit less stressful. Now, I've had a lot of people tell me, I don't like this idea. I don't like this renting, then selling, then buying. I'll tell you, it's a lot easier to do than selling and then rushing to buy something. So here's the example. We find a beautiful place that we would want to rent. Hopefully it's the size of the home that we're going to buy next. Okay? Like if you're thinking you're going to downsize to a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, we're not buying it yet because we can't. We need to sell first. So I'm going to rent a home that's about that size of the home I'm going to be looking for. I still get to downsize all my belongings. I get to move at my convenience. I rent this place, I move my stuff in, it's a great location, I'm going to be okay living there for 6 months or maybe even a year while I look for my next house, okay? So I move into the rental, I stage the home that I was living in, it's now all downsized, it's ready to go on the market, we sell that home, no stress because I'm living in the rental, and then we close escrow, we get our money, we put that money in the bank, and then now, while I'm living in my rental, I get to take my time and find the right house. I don't want you to have to find your next house you're living in the next 30 to 60 days. This way, yes, you are going to have to move twice, but you needed to downsize your stuff anyway. And once you're downsized, doesn't mean you need to unpack everything. All you're going to do is live in this rental for a few months till you find the next house. So maybe you don't unpack everything, you fill the garage up or maybe some rental space or whatever. Okay? Then you buy your next house. Here's the key. You've got cash, you're a strong buyer, you're not in a hurry, so you can negotiate powerfully on this next home you're going to buy. Okay? So that's the next less stressful thing, the third easiest way to do it. So, here's another thing you can do. You can live in your rental home or a vacation home for a couple of years. There's two things here. You can use that vacation home or rental home just like you were going to use that rental. You can move your stuff in. You can downsize like we were going to do. Maybe you don't have to unpack everything, but you live in your rental for, a little while. Now that could be 6 months, a year, 2 years, but you don't want to stay too long, okay? Because capital gains is based on, or I should say the exemptions of capital gains are based on your primary residence. And to call a home your primary resident, you need to have lived there for any 2 of the last 5 years. Now, it could be intermittent or sporadic, but you have to live there 2 of the last 5 years. So you don't want to move away from your primary residence for more than 2 or 3 years, because then you won't be able to call your primary residence anymore because you've lived somewhere else longer than 3 years. So back to what I was talking about. So you go and you move to your rental or your vacation home and you stay there for as long as you need to stay there. Okay? Then you sell your primary residence. You get to take that $250 and $250 capital gains exemption. Okay? You sell your property. That wasn't very stressful. Now you're living in your vacation home or your rental. Now, if you're thinking about selling that rental, okay, if you sell some rental property that you own or any piece of property that you own and it's not your primary residence, you're going to pay capital gains on the entire gain. Okay? There are no exemptions. Unless you live in your vacation home or your rental home for 2 of the last 5 years, then all of a sudden your vacation home turns into your primary residence after 2 years. Then you can get some of that capital gains exemption. Now this is a real big caveat here. You have to talk to your tax person, your CPA, about the rules of and the formula that goes with the fact that, okay, yes, you've lived in your vacation home or your rental home for 2 years and now you're calling it your primary residence, but you've rented it out for the last 10 or 20 years, there's a formula there. You don't get the full 250 exemption because you didn't live there the whole time. So make sure you check with your CPA on that rule. But a lot of people are moving to their vacation home or their rental property to get some sort of capital gains exemption. Okay? Anyway, back to the story is you're living in your vacation or rental home. You've got the cash because you sold your primary residence, and now you can buy your next home with the cash that you have in your hands, or you can sell that vacation home and have even more cash in your hands, or you can do what's called a 1031 tax exchange, which we have a complete presentation on called Like-Kind Property Exchanges, and you can look that up on the web. There's an online class, and we do that live as well. So that's the next less stressful thing. Here's the most stressful thing, is selling your home first. Now remember what we talked about. You can't do anything until you close escrow. Okay? So you've got 2 weeks to prep the house. You've got 2 weeks on the market. You've got a 30-day close of escrow. Okay? Now we can look for our next home. Okay? And we get our 30 to 60-day rent back. Okay, that's fine. But now in the next 30 to 60 days, I have to find a home, right? Right now, in the next 30 to 60 days, I have to win that deal because, you know, there's a lot of buyers out here trying to find homes and they're not winning. They're going up against 5, 10 other offers. So not only do you have to find the perfect home, you have to win that deal, okay? You've got to pack up all your belongings. You've got to be a tenant in your own home for the next 30 to 60 days. You have to give the keys to your house that you're living in to your new landlord who just bought your house, and you're there wondering, I sure hope I can find the next house and close escrow on the next house before my new landlord kicks me out of my old primary residence. This is all very stressful, okay? Now there's ways around this, there's strategies we can talk about, but in general, top, 30,000 foot view of this, this is the most stressful way to do it, is sell first, then scramble to buy, okay? Now, some people say, well, I'll just buy my next home contingent upon the fact that I'm going to sell my current home. Okay, so let's think about that. You're in your primary residence. You're getting it ready to go on the market. You have it listed and you've got maybe all the pictures taken and whatnot. And then you find a home you want to buy. And you go to that agent and that seller over there and you say, hey, we want to buy your house. And the seller says, well, we've got 5, 10 other people want to buy the house. Get in line. Okay? Well, we're going to buy your house as soon as we sell our house. And the seller and the listing agent say, why do I need to wait for you to sell your house in order for us to get our money? Because they can't get their money. They sold you their house, and now you can't even give them the money for it until you get the money on your house, which means you have to wait to close escrow. And the listing agent and the seller are thinking to themselves, who is this person that thinks their house is so great? I don't know their listing agent. I don't know if they're going to price it right. I don't know what condition it's in. I don't know what location it's in. I don't know what it's worth. I don't know how long it's going to take to sell. Why is a seller and a listing agent going to accept that offer, that promise, when they can take someone else's offer that's either all cash or closes in 30 days and they get their money? Now, caveat here, if it's a buyer's market, then yeah, maybe you could get away with this. Or maybe if you are offering more than they're asking, or maybe if you can offer them something that's more attractive than what everyone else is offering them, maybe they'll wait for you. Maybe they'll put their money on you and cross their fingers and hope you can get it done. But it doesn't really happen in this day and age anymore. So it's a possibility, but it's really not likely. Okay, so takeaways from this presentation: it's best to buy first if possible, and then sell. Okay, and if you can't buy first, try renting while you sell and then buy. Okay, check with a seniors community if that's where you're moving. Check with them about their grace period, the time between you put your deposit down and the time that they need to get the money. Okay? Because you need to put a deposit down, then they start rehabbing the unit that you're going to be buying, and then when do they need their money? And then we're going to put our schedule based on when they need their money. Okay? The seniors community. Okay? Also, don't forget to calculate your capital gains, because it's super important, because you sell for $1 million, you're not going to walk with $1 million. Make sure you know how long it's going to be for when you're selling. If they're removing their contingencies, you want that to be as short as possible. Okay? Start donating and downsizing and dumping. Get all that done as soon as possible. Whether you're staying, whether you're going, that's all something you should be ready. You should be doing at a slow pace, at an enjoyable pace, so that you're not rushed when it has to happen. Okay? Don't do anything without a plan. Tell me if you need some help. Like I said, no strings attached, no expectations. I can help you strategize about this. This is all I do every day, is help people figure out if they should buy first, if they should sell first, if they should stay, or if they should go. Okay? Last takeaway, start sooner than later. If you have any questions, give me a call. Look forward to hearing from you. I hope you got something out of this presentation, and take care.